Live downtown where the mayor brings us an update on how crews are preparing for Hurricane Dorian. Plus, what the Jacksonville Zoo is doing right now to keep the animals safe and say goodbye to mosquitoes, the new technology that could make repellents a thing of the past. It's all next.
This is George Gray speaking for The Price is Right, a Fremantle production.
I'm working with someone who's looking into demonic possession and its effect on crime. But I'm a forensic psychologist. I don't believe in all that.
We're here to assess whether a supernatural force was influencing you to kill. Do you think science can answer every question?
I do, just not all at once.
He was talking to himself.
And this is what led you to believe he was possessed?
No. Someone talked back.
I know you believe in this stuff. I don't.
You don't have to believe in the supernatural to know that there are people out there who are evil.
What really matters in journalism? The truth matters. Facts matter. Getting to the heart of the story matters.
Your dad saved their lives.
It's what we do at CBS News, and it's our promise to you. The CBS Evening News with Nora O'Donnell.
Live, this is Action News Jax special coverage tracking Dorian.
The latest track for Hurricane Dorian keeps the storm right now at a Category 2 strength and changes it to a Category 3 for a Tuesday morning landfall. Right now, that storm's slowly creeping and gaining strength in the southwest Atlantic Ocean, with landfall now a little later than what it was at 5 a.m. this morning on Action News Jax this morning. You'll have a little extra time to get your supplies. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Phil Amato.
And I'm Dawn Lopez. But get those supplies. Be prepared now because there's still 92 days left in the hurricane season, and this storm will affect us. Let's get you caught up with the very latest on Dorian right now. The storm is forecast to develop into a Category 3 later today. 2,000 members of the National Guard are standing ready right now, and that number could double tomorrow. Mayor Lenny Curry says that there will be a 48-hour notice in case of evacuations. Action News Jax has team coverage on the very latest on the storm. We begin with Action News Jax First Alert Meteorologist Garrett Beatonbaugh right now in the Weather Center.
And good morning and afternoon to you folks. We do have the 11 a.m. advisory in here in the Action News Jax First Alert Weather Center. You can see here still a Category 2 hurricane, just shy of a Category 3, so it won't take much for those winds to be bumped up. You can see here, look at this eye that emerged here today on the visible satellite imagery. This is 1-minute satellite updates, and so you can really see with great definition. This is the technology that we have now thanks to the tax dollars of the people of the U.S. here. It's great stuff. You can see there the swirl there going off to the west and northwest around the eye wall. Let's go ahead and take a look at another vantage point as well. This is the infrared satellite imagery and really shows those big thunderstorms beginning to erupt around the center of circulation and try to get stronger every once in a while. You can see here moving around that center and those deeper, colder cloud tops. Here's the latest forecast track as of 11 a.m. We'll get the next one by 5 o'clock for the updated forecast track at least. Moving to the northwest again at 10. Expected still to be a major hurricane by this afternoon or into the evening, and then a Category 4 by Saturday at least, and then still potential Category 4 southeast Florida impacts. But there still is that window of opportunity to kind of go back just offshore. But right now the Hurricane Center believing in riding up the spine of Florida, which would have some pretty extensive impacts for the east coast of Florida. So we're going to have to watch this trend for water and wind, of course, here in northeast Florida and southeast Georgia. Here's the morning spaghetti plots. You can see some go off back into the Gulf of Mexico. Some go back up right into our area by Wednesday and into Thursday. Looks to be kind of the day with the strongest effects with the current forecast track. Of course, that could all change as well. So you see here near over Florida early on Tuesday morning, that's southeast Florida, and then the rainfall amounts for us here locally could top 10 inches of rain. Looking at the latest guidance, I'm going to show you some graphics about that for two different models to show you two different situations. And then, of course, increasing dangerous rip currents this weekend and surf building to 4+ feet and even 5 to 6 feet by the time we head into Labor Day on Monday. Coming up in your first alert 7-day forecast, I'm timing out the rest of your holiday weekend, and meteorologist Corey Simo will also join me here in the First Alert Weather Center.
Thank you, Garrett. Right now, our first responders are spending extra time focusing on storm-related emergency preparation. Action News Jack's Alicia Tarancon joins us live in the Woodstock area where JFRD is training. And Alicia, this is a specialized team of more than 200 who have been working around the clock to make sure people are safe.
Yes, we're actually watching JFRD's Urban Search and Rescue team. They're over at this warehouse on Superior Street, and if you take a look, these are the guys that are out here right now. They brought their fire trucks, they brought a lot of their boats right now. They're preparing, they're making sure all of their equipment is in good shape ahead of the storm, just in case they're called out for any rescues. I want you to take a look at these photos. These are pictures of the Urban Search and Rescue crews going out in floodwaters after Hurricane Irma hit in 2017. These are the teams that search for people that are trapped in their homes. These are the same crews that are the ones cutting down trees and making sure that the roads are clear so that first responders can answer 911 calls. Right now, JFRD says they're paying close attention to the storm. They say they can anticipate water rescues this time around if the storm is anything like Hurricane Irma.
We kind of expect the same potential impact that Irma left us with. And remember, Irma had a lot of rain right before the storm, and then the storm came along and just added to that.
And there are 8 teams like this throughout the state of Florida. And when there is a natural disaster, they do deploy. Coming up at 5, we're going to show you the last time JFRD needed to deploy their urban search and rescue crews. I'm reporting live in West Jacksonville. Alicia Tarancon, CBS47, Action News Jax.
All the local colleges are making plans for the storm. Edward Waters College campus, that closed just a few minutes ago at noon and will remain closed through at least Tuesday. Also, FSCJ, UNF, and JU have also canceled classes and activities. They each plan to open again on Tuesday, but those plans could change depending on the outcome of the storm, Don.
In the meantime, JEA has 3 phases to get power back on should Dorian knock the power out. Now, phase 1 is the most important to restore the backbone. So that grid includes police and fire stations and hospitals. In phase 2, crews will repair residential circuits. In phase 3, once circuits are restored, smaller isolated areas will be restored. JEA is asking all customers who have outages to report them so that they can get the all clear when the power is all back on. If the power does go out, several people will turn to generators, well, lots of people, to generators for electricity. Before the storm, it's important to know how much power you'll need. So make a list of things that you plan to put the power on, and then during the storm, never bring your generator inside and keep it far away from windows, as far away as possible. Always allow it to cool down for a few minutes before refueling and plug in necessities first. Now, after the storm, disconnect items one at a time and store any remaining fuel in well-ventilated areas away from your home.
Only on Action News Jax, how far would you go to protect your home and family from flooding? Well, one man in Black Creek installed something you would normally find on a ship to keep his water out of his house. Check out this door. It's a watertight shipboard door. He says during Irma, the water around his home rose 30 feet, so he's not taking any chances.
We want to take you live downtown right now to the Emergency Operations Center. Here's Mayor Lenny Curry.
On the track right now could begin as early as Monday night and go through Wednesday again, but there's still uncertainty. A couple of points. We just came from a briefing that I really want to get out to the public now that this thing is slowed. First of all, you need to continue to pay attention. We're still under threat. And this weekend, very specifically this weekend, we're just with the Coast Guard. They're in us with all of our meetings. Strongly discourage recreational boating. It's going to be really, really nasty out there. And given resources around the state with the storm, search and rescue would be delayed in the unfortunate incident of something to do with recreational boating. The rip currents at the beaches are going to be really nasty. I would discourage, again, on the advice of experts, to stay out of the ocean. If you're going to be on the beach, enjoy it, but stay out of the water. Strongly advised, do not go in the water, even if you're an experienced swimmer. The long-term concern at this point for Jacksonville would be flooding. We've got tide levels are up, and it's looking like significant rain. So use this weekend to just continue to mitigate and prepare, pay attention, and know your zone. I think you guys remember, I think it's been 2 years since we were with Angie and Yeti. We like Angie, but we're glad it has been 2 years. But here we go again, and I'll turn it over to Angie with the Weather Service.
Thank you, sir. Hey, good afternoon. My name is Angie Yeti. I'm an incident meteorologist with the National Weather Service in Jacksonville, here to support the team as we prepare, respond, and react to Dorian. So as the mayor said, the trend has been with Dorian to continue to slow down its forecast track, which is good in terms of giving us some time to prepare, especially this holiday weekend. And when I say prepare, those are who are in those flood-prone, vulnerable areas. Not just talking about surge concerns on the coast. We're talking about inland flooding concerns too from freshwater rainfall. That looks to be a big concern for us as we go later on this week with Dorian creeping up the Florida Peninsula. So use this weekend to try to mitigate any of those hazards relative to flooding as you can. Also this weekend, as Mayor Curry mentioned, conditions are going to continue to deteriorate within our adjacent marine waters. So we're talking about dangerous rip currents increasing in frequency, as well as some rough surf. We're looking for breaker heights along the coast of 5 to 7 feet by Sunday. So it's going to be very hazardous for folks entering the marine waters, both for mariners in small craft as well as beachgoers. You know, we encourage folks to stay out of the water getting into this weekend. Looking beyond this weekend and detailing local impacts from Dorian. So it is continuing to head towards the south central Florida coast, nearing landfall sometime Monday. Looks to be a bet as a major hurricane. In fact, at 11 a.m. this morning, it was a Category 2 storm. When it was center fixed, it was, as the crow flies, about 700 miles southeast of Mayport this morning at 11 a.m. And it's expected to continue on a northwest to west track as we get into the early part of next week, with landfall and maintaining itself as a major storm. So this will be a significant impact to those on the southeast Florida coast. And for us here locally, as that storm begins a northward track somewhere near the Florida Peninsula, and given the latest forecast information we have, it looks like it could be a huge flooding rainfall threat for us here on the first coast extending down the St. Johns Basin. And just to throw out some numbers that seem to be fairly consistent with rainfall amounts, we're looking at amounts of 10 to 15 inches along the St. Johns Basin getting towards the Atlantic coast, and that would be on the east side of the storm, the wet side of the storm, with upwards of 20 inches, and that would be over the course of 2 to 3 days. So flooding rainfall is a major concern. When we talk about, you know, we're thinking of tropical cyclone, we think of surge, we think of wind speeds. It's still too soon in the forecast to really give you some specific numbers to work with, but right now the plan is to mitigate if you're in a flood-prone area.
Sheriff, do you want to add anything?
So as we move into the weekend, one of the key factors and things that we're looking at is evacuations from South Florida. So we'll be working with FHP and manning the interstate to try to help the traffic flow. We'll have tow crews available to help move vehicles that get caught or break down on the interstate. But you can also expect, obviously, Labor Day traffic, holiday weekend traffic. Anticipate heavy traffic because you are going to have a lot of people leaving South Florida driving up through potentially 95. So we're working on that now, and obviously are staying engaged and plugged into you know, the event for us midweek to late next week.
So as we close, so while this is turning into an incredibly long event, given the changes and the lack of speed of the storm, if you will, at this point, This has been a long haul. However, the Emergency Operations Center will remain open 24 hours a day, monitoring the situation. In terms of hearing from us, the next time you hear from us, it will be if and when there's a major development. And there will be a major development. It'll either evolve to where it's coming our way, or it will be a non-event. And we hope that's what it is. But in either case, you'll hear from us again when there's been a major development happen. And we can take questions.
Can we hear from the superintendent?
Absolutely.
Of schools and what the thoughts are now if anything's changed?
At this time, school for today and evening activities will go as scheduled. Friday night football will still happen. We have canceled all district-sponsored activities throughout the weekend, including individuals who rent our facilities over the weekend. That will probably be extended to Monday and Tuesday, that there will be no district activities happening. As it relates to closure of school, it's still too early to provide that information, and I want to remind parents to download our app or check our website. The app will also continue to update parents on whether or not we will have school on Tuesday.
There have been a lot of concerns of people trash pickup right now. Yard debris is one thing that we're hearing from as well. And they're looking for those public works crews that you said are out there working and saying they're not in my yard. What do you want to let people know, and what should they do about yard debris that's been sitting out there all week?
We're on regular schedule now, right?
Schedule 6306.
We're on regular schedule. If you have an issue, call 630 City. And we'll show up and take care of business.
This is probably a question more for JEA, but and I know that you touched on this yesterday, but what about people who they rely on certain medical devices? What should they do during this for, like dialysis or insulin that needs to be in a refrigerator? We've had some viewers ask some questions about that, so can you speak to that?
Yeah. So with regards to people that have special needs, go to JEA.com. There's instructions for you in terms of what facilities have the appropriate backup power and water supplies necessary. And you can always call 665-6000 for additional information on that as well. And that's what I would advise.
The governor yesterday mentioned about retirement centers and folks who are caring for those certain people. What's the message here locally? I mean, have you been in touch with any retirement?
I mean, it's have a plan. We've been through this a number of times in the state of Florida and now in Jacksonville. Don't mistake this. The fact this storm has slowed down is that that you can sit and relax and do nothing. You know that we could have an event that could require evacuations and assistance, particularly in these homes. So have a plan, and if you need help, you can call 630 City. Obviously, if there's a medical emergency, you need to call 911.
Mayor Brown, I know for the beaches community, obviously a lot of concern as well. We're hearing from the National Weather Service this is going to affect everyone. But I think the people at the beach are probably extra concerned.
Well, I'll tell you what we're looking for, Jim, is to put the chairs back out, lifeguard chairs going back out. We had taken them up. We're going to be warning people and letting know that the riptides are going to be rough out there, and we're going to make sure that we have a lot of police presence and lifeguards, just making sure that we're letting people have the information that they need to be safe. And it's going to be flooding, and there's going to be a lot of people that are coming up from the south, and they're going to be staying in our area, so safety is going to be the big thing, and we're going to just get the message out there.
Are there any plans for the city to provide any free sand?
City does not provide sandbags. If folks feel that they need sandbags, I believe they can get those at local hardware stores. Or
is there a reason why there's not going to be any Nassau County providing?
Given the highest and best use of resources in dealing with storms, this has been in place in Jacksonville, Duval County for a number of years now. Our experts have just deemed that sandbags is not the highest and best use of resources in terms of protecting people and keeping them safe.
Mayor, I think it's Labor Day weekend, so a lot of people may have already been planning to pack their bags, take a trip, get back Monday. They may well be living in potential evacuation zones. So do you have any advice for people who want to follow through on their Labor Day trips, leave town, what they should expect or be concerned about or worried about in terms of when they come home?
I mean, I think, Angie said it. If you're in one of these areas that has experienced the flooding and water issues and previous storms and previous events. So prepare now. Move stuff that you want to protect into a space that's going to be safe and protected. Do whatever you can to safeguard your home. In terms of predicting what the weather is going to be like on Monday or Tuesday, we've seen this model change significantly. So just pay attention, stay aware, and always remember this. I mean, we all want to protect our property, but the most important thing is that we protect our families and take care of each other. So if you leave town and an event develops, don't come back just to protect your property. Do what you can to make sure you're safe. All right. So again, you will hear from us. Again, we'll have another briefing when there is a major development. Recreational boating, strongly advise against it. Same with swimming right now at the beaches. Thank you.
All right, the mayor wrapping up his news conference there, the 12 o'clock news conference about Dorian preparations here in Jacksonville, saying that you have to know your zone, of course, the evacuation zone. No evacuations as of yet. They're more concerned about the people being possibly evacuated from South Florida heading through Jacksonville on our freeways here, making sure everything's clear, as you saw Sheriff Williams say. Also, those rip currents out there are tough. Not to go to the beach, not to swim, not to do any boating, anything like that. And the major concern, Don, is really what they're talking about is about the flooding on all that water that can be dropped here in Jacksonville.
Exactly. So they're saying that water is going to be a major rainmaker for us, but just know that we're not out of the woods just yet. We're still watching this develop, and it is a powerful system that continues to gain strength. And we want to bring in now Action News Jax First Alert meteorologist Garrett Beatonbaugh to talk more about the wind and the rain, because the governor did say do expect to lose power at some point during the storm.
Well, you summed it up nicely. We're not out of the woods yet by any stretch of the imagination here. Let's get right to the maps. We're tracking things minute by minute here in the Action News Jax First Alert Weather Center. Right now we're tracking the visible satellite imagery as well. You can see there, I showed you this a bit ago, there's the Category 2 hurricane moving to the northwest at 10 miles per hour right now, and there's that eye every once in a while trying to open up, and so basically that means it's a healthy, for the most part, hurricane. This is the latest forecast track as well. Still forecast to become a Category 3 major hurricane by the time we go through this afternoon or into the evening hours. We'll have some recon flights continuing to evaluate that in the storm through the day today, and still expected to be a major Category 4 hurricane as it makes its way somewhere on the southeast or south central coast of Florida. In other words, there's still possibilities in this cone of uncertainty to go closer to the coast, out to sea, or more inland through the state of Florida. Right now, the Hurricane Center forecast still has it as a Category 1 hurricane near and north of Orlando. It takes a little bit to wind down major hurricanes in terms of strength. The latest spaghetti plots you can see pretty much honing in on the area near and south of Cape Canaveral to Fort Pierce and even the Stuart, Florida area before going back to the north and northeast. So something we're really going to have to watch here with that area of high pressure, the Bermuda High. Is there going to be a weakness in that ridge? If there is, that means a more northerly track, but the timing of that weakness is key as to who sees the most significant impacts. Now, here's the latest European and GFS model. You can see right here, continuing to track this in alignment right now, but as you see, we're just getting in new data. This represents the old model as of this morning. This is the new data for the purple shade there coming in right now. It's back to the east, so there's going to be fluctuations in the model data here over the next few days. Angie summed it up nicely there from the National Weather Service. You can see this is the GFS American model, really showing the potential for rain amounts of 10+ inches of rain here. This is the European. We'll get another update of this by the time Chief Meteorologist Mike Burris joins you at 5 o'clock. You can see here 10 to 15 inches, maybe even 20 inches of rain in some spots. Highly dependent on where Dorian goes. At the very least, we'll see the potential for tropical storm force winds to arrive by Monday evening into Tuesday morning with the latest thinking here with the current forecast. So to sum it up, high risk of rip currents. Yes, we don't recommend getting in the ocean this weekend. Increased surf building to 5 to 6 feet by Monday. And the weekend, of course, not a washout, but Wednesday and Thursday, we could see 10+ inches of rain and isolated tornadoes and waterspouts. The next advisory comes in at 2 o'clock. in the afternoon. Now, joining me right now is meteorologist Corey Sema. He's going over the First Alert Doppler HD. Before this, Corey, we're having significant rain with onshore winds.
So Mary's already picking up a lot of rain with those onshore winds, and it's raining now, pouring in the Riverside area in downtown, and there's more where this is coming from as well. A little bit of lightning that we got showing up in downtown as well, as meteorologist Stacey Garvilla is driving us here on First Alert Doppler HD. So as we zoom down to street level mapping, look at the rainfall rates here, between 1 and 2 inch per hour rainfall rates, and you see those lightning strikes too. You see the numbers updating in real time as well as the rain steadily shifts to the west. There is the intersection of I-95 and the I-10 split, with most of the rain ending along the St. Johns River and the east side, at least right now. But there is more where this is coming from out over the ocean. So let's track this minute by minute here. Over the zoo right now, San Mateo at 1228, there's Ocean Way at 1232, and then White House at 1239. Garrett, we're going to see more of this rain through the evening and tomorrow.
Yeah, you can see here on the Action News Jax First Alert 7-day forecast with your weekend always in view. We'll see mid to upper 80s. There'll be moments of dry, but also some of these showers like we're seeing today with the persistent onshore winds. Mid to upper 80s into Labor Day, excuse me. There you can see mostly cloudy skies and periods of some scattered showers and breezy conditions. But now we're tracking Dorian Tuesday into Wednesday and Thursday. These 2 days with the current forecast look to be pretty wet, and that's when that surge of moisture and potential gusty winds of tropical storm to hurricane force at times could be arriving in our area. The latest, of course, as it breaks here from the First Alert Weather Center. You can always get this forecast any time of the day and updated alerts as well by downloading the free Action News Jax First Alert Weather app. And Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish will be in here this afternoon and join you at 5 on CBS 47.
Interesting breakthrough with all the standing water headed our way, but say goodbye to mosquitoes. The new technology that could make repellents a thing of the past when we come back. The First Alert Weather Team keeping a close watch on Hurricane Dorian, tracking its every move. The storm is a strong Category 2 and building and slowly creeping across the Atlantic towards Florida. The latest track will come out at 5 p.m. Scientists believe a permanent solution to prevent mosquito bites is close to becoming a reality. In a new study, a so-called mosquito shield not only protects people from bites, but also blocks chemical signals that the bugs use to detect blood. It's made of a film of the same substance as pencil lead and could be basically taken into clothing as a barrier. The next step here is to test the film in an outdoor setting.
New at noon, for the second time, the Rolling Stones are having to change plans because of a storm. This time, tomorrow night's show in Miami will be played tonight. In July, the Stones' show in New Orleans was postponed because of Tropical Storm Barry. Tonight is the final show on their U.S. Stadium tour.
And we'll have the latest track for Hurricane Dorian at 5.
YNR's next.
And so we're in contact with the Army Corps. They reported to me yesterday that they had, capacity for another 4 feet. But, these things, a storm of this magnitude, and particularly how slow it's going, has a capacity to dump an awful lot of water into the lake. And so we are in a situation where if the lake gets to a certain level, they obviously have their different protocols of how they deal with that with the federal government.
Can you talk about the idea of
this happening at the same time that we're expecting king tides in Miami, Fort Lauderdale?
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously, I think that exacerbates it. I mean, you look at some areas, I was, seeing some of the images out of Jupiter where the water's already up to the dock in some of those places. We also have other parts of the state, places like Dixie County that have been experiencing flooding, Pasco County. So even if they're on the outer bands of the storm, they're going to be in a situation where you will absolutely see water levels rise. And so when you have a strong storm, obviously the wind can cause a lot of damage, as we saw in Hurricane Michael. It obviously leads to a lot of storm surge, which can be life-threatening. But in terms of the broadest impacts of the storm, very, very likely to be because of the flooding. And so that's just something people need to understand. And I would also say is that as this storm comes, as the water rises, be very, very careful about how you're going into this. I mean, every storm, we have people try to drive through flooded streets, and their cars end up getting stuck, and that's what's going to happen. So please be very cautious with the water.
What in terms of the nursing homes that are not compliant? Is there any action the state can take immediately, or are you just advising?
Well, no. So the state is taking visits to some of them. Some of them are being contacted via phone. Now, not all of them are in the path of the storm, and so like in Palm Beach, the vast majority of them have complied. And so what we're doing is we're informing local officials. We're informing them that they're not meeting their obligations, and obviously now's the time to make alternative arrangements. I mean, I'm glad that this case came down in Broward. I'm glad it happened, but I'm glad those people are being held accountable, because I think that sends the message now going into this storm. If you have vulnerable people in your care, it's your responsibility to make sure that you have a plan in place to protect those folks. I mean, at this point you could lose power. And so what are you going to do if that ends up happening? And so, that is really where it is responsible. We've also had, where's Eric Szilagyi, FP&L? They've written letters to all the nursing facilities about this. I don't think any of them responded to FP&L, did they? So some of them just haven't done that. And so, at the end of the day, we have a website now where you can go and click on a county, and it has all the stats and everything. And so where the potential problems are. But these folks have got to step up and protect these folks.
I want to follow up on the lake situation too. Would you be considering evacuations around those communities as well?
I can tell you the Palm Beach is considering that in the areas that are close to the lake. I mean, they'll be able to tell you more about their plans. They do have shelters in those areas. But yeah, that is obviously a concern, just because, you're in a potential to have some serious water events there.
We have time for one more question, guys. One more. Anybody?
All right, thank you. Appreciate it. All right. Oh, yeah, good to see you. Good to see you. Hey, thanks a lot. Yeah, appreciate you. Hey, man, how you doing? Good to see you.
Last 96.
Yeah, great to see you. Yeah. Just let us know. I'll have them do that order, and then whatever else you guys need, let us know. Yeah. Good to see you. Yeah, of course. Good to see you. How are you doing? Good to see you. Yeah, of course. You know how that goes. Are you West Palm, Boca Raton? Where's your district?
Delray, Lake Worth, so I have Central, and I have a big chunk. Yeah, and I have the ocean.
Lake Worth, they have that municipal utility too. So it's like, these guys are bringing in like 12,000 people. Right? I'm just concerned about, having that power get back.
Right this way, Governor. We're going to slide out of here. Last time, and they got it on a little bit later than FPNL, but not bad.
Okay. Thank you so much. Excuse me.